the Guadeloupean. As I have announced it in my previous video, in this message I will speak about an issue that seems to be very important for President Donald Trump, which is immigration. However, before that, I really want to say thank you to all the people who supported me in my support in favor of President Donald Trump. In France, where I live, immigration has actually allowed the arrival of great people whose presence is a real blessing for the country. But unfortunately, leniency with immigration has caused a very violent civilization to flood certain areas of the country, which consequences have been much people being killed because of terrorism attacks or other types of murders, or being bashed, and many women being raped or enduring sexual harassing, and so forth. Beside that, it has caused a tremendous financial cost for a rather small country like France. The bill for that has been sent to French taxpayers and businesses contributing in damaging the economy. On the top of that, because of certain laws and we feel threatened by this civilization, we have a very limited freedom of speech to verbally struggle against it. I really wish to express my gratitude to President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance for their compassion about what we are enduring in France and some other European countries where the same type of phenomenon has occurred. What I said about that civilization I described is, of course, very bad. However, there is a threat of a much worse situation than the one we are already going through. It is that somehow that civilization takes the power, then it would really be dangerous, especially in France and Great Britain, that have nuclear weapons. Several years ago, I was in California, and in a church where I went to, a pastor in his sermon was speaking about World War II. He was explaining that seeing the Nazis invading several European countries and taking control of them one after the other, Americans thought that maybe they were going to be next to be attacked. That's why the United States got involved in World War II. So I wouldn't be surprised to see American troops sent to Europe to protect the United States and maybe some other countries considered as friends of the United States. That is really not how I wish we would get rid of that civilization, because we should take care of ourselves. However, I'm aware that such a military intervention may happen to mainly protect the United States, but also it would set us free. You Americans have a strong president, very much aware about the potential dangers of leniency with immigration. That's why he has very strict visa policies, for example. I do understand the emotion and many discussions after two people got killed by ICE officers. But ICE can be compared to the city police, for example, where also some officers killed people in conditions that caused much emotion and many discussions. However, because of this, should all police missions be suppressed? Or should their number be unconditionally reduced so they would no longer be significant? Of course, no. Otherwise, there would be much more people being killed. I believe it's the same with ICE missions. If I am not against the principle of having them, I think I have very good reasons for that. It's because living in France, I know better that uh, leniency with immigration can cause many people to be killed, whether because of terrorism attacks or other types of murders, beside a lot of other heavy problems that I don't want to speak about because of the limited freedom of speech I have mentioned before. However, I really hope that ICE will do everything to avoid situations where people would be killed. I also wish to say that I am not against the principle of immigration. As I have said in the beginning of this video, in France, where I live, immigration has allowed the arrival of great people whose presence is a real blessing for the country. What I am firmly against is leniency with immigration, because that's what has caused devastating consequences. If President Donald Trump has been such an efficient protector against the risk to have the United States gradually slipping toward the same situation we are enduring in France and some other European countries, it's because he has been supported by majorities of senators and representatives. So I really advise you, American voters, to include into the reasons to support President Donald Trump his struggle against leniency with immigration, and I encourage you to vote in favor of his party for the 2026 midterm elections. In my next video, I will speak about, I will answer to a question that may have come to some people's minds listening to my messages, which is, why does John, living in France, which citizenship he has, support so much President Donald Trump, who made decisions against France? Thank you for your attention. God bless America.